I am pleased to welcome Assistant Secretary Johnnie Carson today. He's the Assistant Secretary for the Bureau of African Affairs, and today we're going to be discussing the outcomes from the UN General Assembly in direct correlation to Africa.
The highlight of that session was the admission of the new state of South Sudan into the UN. Also occurring at New York was two meetings hosted by UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon.
Our next question comes from Lulu Brenda Harris from Sunday News. President Mugabe is of the view that the United Nations is being manipulated by NATO, for example, in relation to the developments in Libya. The UN has failed to solve the problems and has left NATO to run the show. Closer to home, Zimbabwe is under sanctions imposed by NATO members, some of whom make up the EU. Zimbabwe is still a small country being persecuted by powerful countries. What does the UN say about the powerlessness in solving this impasse?
It is regrettable today, some 2 years after the conclusion of the global political agreement between President Robert Mugabe and the MDC led by Prime Minister Morgan Tsvangirai, that agreement has not been fully implemented. We continue to call on President Mugabe to fully implement the global political agreement. We believe that President Mugabe and elements around him have manipulated the political process in that country and has led to political stagnation, as well as economic problems of a mounting nature. The last three elections in Zimbabwe have all been challenged by the opposition and have been regarded by many in the international community, including the United States, as being suspect. We believe that those elections were not free, fair, or transparent. And we also believe that in the run-up to each and every one of those elections, that the ruling party, led by Robert Mugabe, carried out widespread harassment and violence and intimidation. We believe that violence has no place or role to play in a democratic country and in a democratic process and in democratic elections. That has not been the case in Zimbabwe in the last three elections. I do not believe that the international community, NATO, UK, the US, or the European Union, or anyone is in fact manipulating Zimbabwe. We believe that President Mugabe has a right and a responsibility to live up to the democratic norms that he professes to live by. We believe that it is absolutely essential that we see a new constitution, a referendum for that constitution, that there be elections in which there are widespread international and outside observation, and that he move forward with the continuing implementation of the global political agreement.
Our next question comes from Accra, Ghana. Does the UN foresee a permanent African country on the UN Security Council with a veto power?
The United States has said that there is clearly a need for reform of the UN Security Council to reflect the changing times and evolving nature of global states and global politics. We have not at this point received a plan that we have endorsed or said we would endorse, But we do believe that Africa does deserve a more prominent and significant role on the Council. What that role will be has to be determined by the permanent members of the Council, and we will participate in those deliberations when they are held.
Just a quick reminder that if you would like to continue this conversation after the conclusion of today's program, you can do so at AFASSTSECY. That's the Assistant Secretary's personal Twitter feed, or you can do so at State Dept. Or if you would like to do so in language, you can do it at USA in Francais.